Welcome back to Takeout. Thanks for hanging out with us. University of Virginia's election forecaster Sabato's crystal ball has updated its outlook in favor of Democrats, at least in some House races, and in one particular Senate race. Georgia Senator Jon Ossoff's reelection bid shifted from leaning Democrat to likely Democrat, and 13 House seats have a new and slightly better outlook for Democrats than before. CBS News contributor Kyle Kondik is with me to discuss. He's the managing editor of Sabato's crystal ball, and he wears a necktie, which I don't disparage because his mother prefers that. And I always defer to mothers with sartorial choices here on the Takeout. Kyle, great to have you here. Mom, hello, great to have you. So I want to talk about the upper Midwest. We have talked a lot about Michigan, understandably so, but Minnesota and Wisconsin also have some interesting statewide contests with progressive components to it.
Yeah, it looks like Francesca Hong, who is a progressive member of the state assembly there, she's a big favorite to win the Democratic
Socialist of America. She's a DSA'er.
Yeah, a big favorite to win the Democratic gubernatorial nomination.
In part because Mandela Barnes, trailing by a lot, dropped out today.
Yeah, and the quote unquote establishment, the sitting governor Tony Evers, Democrat, endorsed David Crowley from Milwaukee to try to save this thing and nominate a kind of a
no traction.
Doesn't seem like it. No, I mean, doesn't seem like he has any real name ID outside of Milwaukee.
And in Wisconsin, the polling indicates young voters are active, energized, interested, and very much with this Democratic Socialist of America candidate, Francesca Hong.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way. Primary electorates generally skew a little bit older, and so maybe there could be some sort of shift here in the last 10 days, but she definitely seems like the favorite.
Tell me about Minnesota.
So there's been, primary that's been going on for a long time for the open Democratic Senate seat there between Peggy Flanagan and Angie Craig, a sitting House member. Flanagan ran to Craig's left.
And Flanagan is the lieutenant governor.
That's right. Yeah, and it seems she's probably favored, although that one really could go either way. Craig represents a kind of a swingy Democratic-leaning House seat in the Twin Cities area. Flanagan, is the lieutenant governor. She, hasn't really had to run in that sort of battleground race. National Republicans would prefer to run against Flanagan, although I think probably either Democrat would be favored in that race for November.
And that's vacated because Amy Klobuchar running for governor, and the odds-on favorite.
Well, and Tina Smith, the sitting senator, is retiring, right. So there actually could be another Senate opening in Minnesota.
Good point.
If Klobuchar is elected governor.
And tell me about the House races.
So there's a lot going on in the House, and it's interesting that even though we made a bunch of changes in favor of the Democrats today, our actual kind of top line in the House is really pretty close. It's 208 seats, at least leaning to the Republicans, 207 to the Democrats. 20 toss-ups.
That's really close.
Yeah, and our expectation is that the Democrats are favored in the House and that they probably would win most of the toss-ups. But the House map did get better for Republicans
because of redistricting. Yeah.
So I don't think it's crazy to suggest Republicans could hang on. But again, I do think Democrats are favored, and the changes today do kind of better reflect that.
And when my audience hears likely lean, what does that mean?
I think from our sort of parlance, likely means that we'd be pretty surprised if the person lost. And so we moved, Jon Ossoff in Georgia, sitting senator, from lean Dem to likely Dem. That doesn't necessarily mean anything about what we think the margin's going to be, because Georgia's a really tight, closely contested state. That race could still end up being relatively close. But I do think where that race sits today, it would be a shock if Ossoff lost. And that's part of what we're expressing.
And that is reflective of fundraising, visibility, polling, and a lot of other factors.
Yeah, it is a Democratic-leaning environment. It doesn't seem like the challenger, Republican Mike Collins, is really doing all that great. So a lot of things go into it.
Right. Not always Georgia Democrat environment, but it seems to be in this particular Senate race. Kyle Kondik, thank you so very much.